if you want to record your hands and use an app that will help you get better at live poker and also possibly fast track yourself onto this show, you should check out the Fastroll app. It is very, very easy to record all of your live hands and build a database that you can share with everyone and get it into a nice compact hand history format. And if you want to submit to be on the show, there is a button in there that you can click submit to the call-in show, and we will give priority for people that are submitting through the Fastroll app. Hello, Daniel. You are up first, sir.
Hey, how's it going, Bart?
How's it going, Daniel? So where are you playing out of?
This is going to be 1-3 $500 cap game at Hollywood Casino at Penn National. It's just outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so 1-3 500 cap. How deep are you for this hand?
So 200 big blinds effective, 600 draws.
600 effective. Now, you say 200 big blinds, which is true, but I always talk about how it's really a lot shallower in live play than if you were to compare like an online hand history or any type of hand history where the typical open side is only to like 2 to 3x. Because, live, I assume people are going to be opening to at least 10, probably 15. So
Yeah,
you get way shallower very, very quick. Do you happen to know your promo rules in your room?
So these you take, as far as the rate, 10% up to $5 and then $2 for promotion. I think they take a $1 at when the pot reaches $10 and another $1 when it reaches $20 or above.
Are the rules posted anywhere?
Ooh, I believe there's a card on the table near the one seat, if I remember correctly.
I'm just, again, doing a survey of all rooms. If this video makes it on YouTube, I'd like to know the printed admin rules for how much a room takes in administrative fees. Encore Boston Harbor's now, I don't know if they change it, they say they take nothing. I've also heard some other places that say they take nothing, but I want to see that in print. Okay, so 600 effective. All right, start us off here.
Sure. So under the gun raises to $15. So pretty standard. Usually it's around $12 to $15 in a game like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So much for 200 big blinds effective.
It's just going to be shallower going post flop. That's all. Yeah.
Sure. So then +1. So there's going to be two main villains in this hand. So +1 is one of them. So he calls and he covers me like $655.
Okay.
Cutoff calls. Small blind is going to be the second main villain. He's been pretty spewy. He's been on tilt, losing a lot of pots. And so he calls.
By the way, what's your hand, Daniel?
Sure. I've got ace of spades, king of hearts in the big blind.
Oh, you're not. I thought you were under the gun. Okay. So under the gun to 15. I'm sorry. Under the gun to 15. +1 calls, cutoff calls, small blind calls, hero in the big blind.
Correct. And so usually I would 3-bet squeeze with this hand with all the dead money out there. But recently I've been 3-bet squeezing kind of late, and I think I overcompensated in the session, and I decided to call pre-flop.
Well, Daniel. I do remember the submission because I even almost said in the email back to you when I picked you that I was going to torch you pre-flop here. Now, I understand, and I've talked about this, that there is a on the cuspy hands, and this is not a cuspy one, but on the cuspy hands, sometimes I always talk about, I've mentioned this on the show before, that I don't know why people try to and it's not many that truly try to randomize and live, because I feel like you can just make a decision based upon short term, what has happened in a given situation. There's enough information in live poker where something that might be 50-50, you can use information to lean towards a specific decision, whether you have a good image, a bad image. In this case, you were talking about, well, you've been very active pre-flop with a lot of 3-betting. So what that would mean to me is that with a cuspy hand, that maybe sometimes is 3-bet, sometimes isn't, I might not, because I'm not going to get as much credit from some of the other players. Maybe some of the other players might fight back. Now, maybe not at 1-3, but I have taken hands that might be 50-50 or sometimes even 60-40 and not 3-bet them, because in the short term, I've 3-bet very, very actively. But I'm always going to be 3-betting the best hands, though, because that's great, because they think that I'm active. Here it goes 15, call. You got ace king offsuit in the big blind. I mean, I can't imagine a world where this is not 100% 3-bet. The only times where I don't 3-bet ace king in a given situation might be from a tight opener for UTG, and I'm in the big blind and I'm closing the action. I might just call. Occasionally, I actually sometimes might call under the gun to +1 as well. Like if I'm in +1, sometimes you see a reflection of call of ace king, and then you sometimes can get mixed into a back raise if somebody 3-bets you in the field. But yeah, man, I think you know that, but I'm just squeezing here 100% of the time.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely that for sure.
So you call.
Correct.
Now, this gets into situations where in older school, I used to put out like, I think I might bring it back in older school sort of Twitter posts. I would put up daily tips. I don't know, the first like 5 years that we were doing CLP. And I said, sometimes I'll flat call in a cash game with ace king. And then if I do flop an ace, especially if it heads up, I might play it fast like a set. Here it's kind of super multi-way, so you haven't really defined any of the ranges. So because players are very wide, because it's just a single raise pot, you might not want to do that just because there's so much out there that can beat you on an ace-high board, depending on what the texture is. So it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways. So it's like $70-$75, something like that.
Yeah, and after the rake, I didn't adjust for it in the email, but I adjusted it here. It'll be $16 or $68 on
All right,
flop.
I'm going to put $70.
Sounds good.
All right. So you flat called with a huge hand in the, I mean, you're going to 3-bet jacks here, right?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, in the past, I usually would 3-bet squeeze, queen 10 suited, pocket eights, things like that.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the flop here.
Sure. So first point of the hand. So this PB player in the small blind, he actually donk leads for $15.
Well, what's the flop? First.
Oh, sorry. Ace of hearts, 10 of clubs, 3 of diamonds.
All right. So ace of hearts, 10 of clubs, 3 of diamonds. So it's a rainbow board. And you've got this very, very under-repped, sneaky ace king. And now, all of a sudden, the small blind, you said he's spewy, donks for 15. So this one's kind of interesting because, again, you've got all of these somewhat undefined hands behind you. You've got the pre-flop raiser, you've got +1, you've got cutoff. And it would kind of be a little bit of a disaster, I feel like, to raise here and then get somebody to fold out like ace jack, ace queen. Actually, you could even like make a case here that like this is almost the same as having like pocket threes or ace 10. It's not quite the same because you can still lose to other hands that might be better behind you. But if you can sort of picture flopping a very strong hand and then having a weird donk lead, and then you're like, if I raise here, like if all these one pair hands are going to fold behind me, do I want to accomplish that? Now, with that being said, the counter to that was, well, God, you could bluff here a lot. Like if you had king, queen, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to get a lot of one pair hands to fold behind you, of course, small blind could still have an ace. And then the other thing too is it's kind of like a mini bet. It's not quite the minimum bet, but it's a 20% bet. Sometimes you treat these types of situations as checks. I'm not talking about when someone makes like a range bet, like in a 4-bet pot, but like just kind of a weird mini bet. You can kind of treat this as a check. I assume if the guy checked, you were going to check to the pre-flop raiser, right? I assume. So if you treat it like a check and you were going to check anyways, and you don't want to drive the one pair hands out, I might just call here. Now, if the table's really bad and people are going to be calling anyways, one of the things you have to realize is if you call, Broadway cards that aren't a king are not good for you behind you. So I mean, if this guy goes 15, well, here's the thing. If he goes 15 and you raise it to say like 50 or 60, if the guys behind you like +1 are going to call with like ace jack, ace queen anyways, I could make a case here for raising. So because you've got that pre-flop raiser behind you, I was kind of thinking more along the lines of, well, these field callers, they're just going to fold out one pair. So I think it's actually pretty close. What did you end up doing?
I ended up calling this one because I was thinking, especially at this casino, a lot of multi-way pots where somebody donk leads, they usually have something fairly strong. Usually it's like 2 pair a set. I don't know about the size though. That really indicates that, but that was in game. That was.
I mean, I don't think they usually like the size like this, especially if you say splashy, it's going to indicate that. But okay, so you call.
Sure, yeah. And then under the gun, the pre-flop raiser calls.
Okay.
+1 calls and cutoff folds, which is pretty funny to fold with another $15. But
well, I mean, if he's got like pocket fours or something, right? I mean, what is he going to do? So 15 call. The pot's 130. Let me ask you this question. Another kind of weird tough spot that you would be in here is if like you called and then the preflop raiser raised. I mean, so let's say that small blind donked, you called, preflop raiser made it like 110. Everyone else folded, including the small blind. I think you have to continue. Your hand's just so under rep, but it's hard. And it's like one of these spots where it's like, oh God, like if he did happen to flop something better than your hand, you're gonna lose some money. But that's not why. That's people look at this the wrong way. That's why you 3-bet ace king to define the ranges. No, it's a value 3-bet. But anyways, all right, we're in a weird spot here. 130 multi-way. Okay, ace 10-3 rainbow here with ace king.
Indeed. And then the turn is the jack of hearts.
That's one of the cards that I don't like that much.
Agreed. And then small blind now checks.
So small blind checks. The reason why I don't like that much is because, again, people call, king queen here is just something that's always going to appeal. And a lot of people like to play that offsuit or suited. That's a hand you beat. You lose to ace jack now. You lose to jack 10 now, too. Some of these guys that are, it's such a small bet on the flop. They're like, oh, I'm peeling with odds, right? Even though I don't even know. I mean, I'm pretty nitty when it comes multi-way. I mean, I think you can make a case if you're like the second or third player in the field that jack 10 wouldn't even want to call the flop when it goes call, call, call. Because you get into a situation like here, if you hit a jack, like it's there's reverse implied odds. So what do we want to do now that the small blind checks? Some might say that betting might even be an over-representation of your hand, over-repping your hand a little bit, the way that you played it. But I got to tell you, this might be a spot where if I'm going to call anyways, I don't think it's going to get bet through all that much. Maybe by ace queen. I think this card slows people down quite a bit, where it might sort of get checked through. So I could see just taking a robust like bet fold type of strategy here, betting the turn, seeing who calls you, and then evaluating what you're going to do on the river. So I mean, I wouldn't go crazy large, but I could see betting here maybe 75, 80, something like that.
Okay. I did end up betting. I bet a little smaller, about $50.
Well, that bet can't get raised by one pair, that's for sure. I don't think. Backdoor hearts are out there. Ace of hearts, 10 of clubs, 3 of diamonds, turns to jack of hearts. Hero bets 50, okay.
Under the gun folds, +1 calls, and then the small blind calls.
All right, so +1 and the small blind call. Well, now that's good for you because I was just concerned about under the gun a little bit. So I don't think the small blind has king queen has played, right? And I don't think the small blind really even has like 2 pair. So I think you have the small blind beat a lot. Small blind might have a weak ace. Now, could the +1 be sandbagging something? Maybe. But I still think you've got the best hand a fair amount here. You've got to be cognizant of backdoor hearts, although you do have the king of hearts. The pot now is 280.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the river is the 8 of diamonds.
So the river is the 8 of diamonds for a final board of ace 10-3, jack 8. That really doesn't change much unless somebody has ace 8, right? I mean, unless somebody's playing like a wraparound queen 9 suited on the flop or something like some crazy thing like that with a backdoor. So does the small blind check to you again?
He does. He checks to me. And so then here on the turn or on the river, I was thinking that even though this 8 doesn't change too much, I really was wondering what the +1 had in calling pre-flop and then again on the flop and turn. So I decided to check and evaluate. Curious to hear your thoughts on that.
No, I think I would bet here. I think I would bet here. Like, it's not like he's going to turn 10x of hearts into a bluff at the end here, even though maybe he should, because he's very rarely. I mean, if it goes check, check, someone's going to check call. Like, if you look at this line where small blind donks, you call, and then you donk turn, and now given this action, you check the river. This is just like a spot that like would be a very bad spot, in my opinion, to bluff if I was like MP and I missed something, because he's going to get called by one person. So unless you're saying that you're so concerned here that you were considering check folding, because why do we check the river? We check the river to induce a bluff, or we check the river to get somebody to value own themselves, right? I don't think anyone's going to value own themselves here at this level. So then you go back and you say, well, am I checking to induce a bluff? I don't think so. Then you could say, well, I'm going to check fold because I don't think my hand's good. I don't think that's the case, though, in this spot. So, and if the small blind is like bad and he's donking and then donk lead calling, I might bet 175 here and expect some ace to call.
Yeah, that's a good point. I definitely missed some value there.
So hero checks, okay.
So then the +1 bets 125.
Well, +1 bets 125, huh?
Yeah, and then the small blind, who only has $125 left, he calls and actions back on us.
So he basically calls all in.
Correct.
I hate these little spots and when you're getting like great pot odds. So 250, the pot is going to be 530 and it's 125 to call. Now, normally what I would say here is that you need a much, people look at this type of situation in the wrong way, just like they sometimes close the action in the big blind like way too wide. They're like, oh, pot odds, I'm getting more of a price. When in fact, usually in the spot multi-way, the extra price you get does not trump the fact that you have to beat two players in the hand. However, in this case, I think you have the small blind beaten here. I just don't know how the small blind off of a short stack, right? He's relatively short, is checking anything that's better than ace king on turn and on river here. Like he's going to donk out with jack 10 on the flop and then check the turn to check call, check call. I don't buy it. So I actually think here you actually are getting better pot odds because I think you have the small blind beaten. The problem here is that, God, what is it? So you're getting 4 to 1. I flick in the call here. I think you have the small blind beaten. You only have to be good here 1 out of 5 times. I don't like the fact that the +1 guy bet, but it's not like he bet like 300 or something at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
So, really what you're hoping for is that he's actually value owning himself because I just don't know. This looks like it's not a bluff. So then the question is, could he bet ace queen here? Spam Spuff says, I don't think hero is good here. I don't think hero's good here either, but is he good here 1 out of 5 times? That's the question. What did you end up doing?
Yeah, agreed. I think since I got to this point in game, I was thinking because I slow played my hand this whole way, I thought I would have to call later on the river, and especially that size bet. So, and also the +1 just didn't look very comfortable when I started thinking about it. He did like a one-handed shuffle of cards, and to me that kind of influenced me. He was weak and bluffing. So I ended up.
But what is he bluffing with though?
Yeah, the only thing I think of would be like I missed heart draw.
Right, but that missed heart draw is either going to be a straight in the form of king queen. Well, I guess it could be like something like deuce 4 of hearts. I don't know if they play that wide. That's like a bottom end wheel draw that picked up hearts. But again, a small stakes exploit is like, players don't turn hands into bluffs. The problem here is that like the 10x portion here is paired. And it just doesn't really seem to me like he would take this type of sizing here as a bluff with like 9, 10 of hearts, jack 10 of hearts. So you called.
Correct. Yeah.
And
so then instantly +1 mucks.
Just mucks his hand? Wow.
Yeah, just mucks his hand without me even turning it over.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm about to turn over my hand, and small blind turns over 10-5 offsuit. I believe it was 10 of diamonds, 5 of clubs.
Well, that's good for you.
Yeah, so I won with the pair of aces.
That guy's awful, huh?
Yeah, he was not a good night for him.
I'm just trying to figure out what does +1 just muck? I guess you could make a case that 10x knows they're no good, but people aren't just going to blindly muck with a pair of 10s. I'm just trying to, I guess it must have been something like backdoor wheel, like 4 5 of hearts, something like that. 4 5 is, or some sort of, like a 5 deuce, 4 5 of hearts. It would had to be something on the bottom end straight draw that just missed hearts. You follow what I'm saying? Like wheel hearts, I guess, is kind of what makes sense. But anyways, thanks for the call.